What's up, you guys? It's Two Bricks, and once again, you can see we're back at the building table working on my Arquitens light, or I guess, no, sorry, my Arquitens command cruiser, the Imperial version of this ship. And once again, just to reiterate for everybody, this is not the 546 cruiser, I think is the name of it, which is Moff Gideon's flagship. That is a much larger version of what looks very similar to this. So we're going to be continuing the work on this as before. You can see here that since last week, I have just kind of mirrored over to the other side what I did for this half right here. And I've just duplicated the cannons as well. So now I have two of these. I'm going to go ahead and place those in a little bit here. And then I'm going to see about kind of designing the next portion, which is going to be this back section here, where I'm trying to figure out the exact kind of way everything's going to meet and come down into this back hull plating, and then what the bridge is going to look like. So today's goal is to see how close I can get to finishing the entire top of this ship, and then if I get any further than that, that would be amazing, but we'll see how we go. So let's dive in and keep going with the design, and I'll kind of stop along the way and give you guys periodical updates, or periodic updates. I'm not going to give you periodicals. And then, yeah, we'll just see how far we get. All right, guys, so the first thing that I've done here is I have gone ahead and beamed the heck out of this area right here. You can see that I've just pinned in tons and tons and tons of Technic pins through here, and I've used these L-shaped brackets and these long beams strategically to try to give as much strength and stability to this section as I possibly can. And then this part under here is pinned so it kind of sandwiches in and holds in the whole bottom. So then this part only needs to support basically this top section right here, and everything should hold itself together pretty nicely, I think. So the idea being that this will be the center of gravity where I pick the ship up from. The center of gravity is actually just a little bit forward right now, but I'm hoping that that's just because these massive plates are on here, and hopefully once I get a little bit more bulk back here, it'll even out a little bit more, and I'll be able to more easily pick the ship up from here, because it would be nice to have a central point that is easy to grab at and pick it up. But if that doesn't end up happening and I have to just lift it from the frame, from the sides here, that's fine too. It's one of those things. But this is going to be where the bridge kind of sits up here. It's slightly back from this center bulkhead, so I'm going to start kind of planning out what is going to happen up here and how all this is going to go. So let's take a look at that. All right, so I've built up this little kind of area that goes up to the bridge, the neck, I guess, of the bridge a little bit. And what I've done here is kept the spacing as usual with my Technic bricks and plates in here. And then I've inserted two Technic pins between these two bricks. And then I have a half pin right here and one on the other side there. And what I'm going to do is insert these handy dandy pieces right here. So it's going to snap in, and the back end of the bar is going to go right into that Technic pin. I'm going to do the same on the opposite side here, so that I have a surface that I can now clip, attach studded surfaces to, and then build up kind of the side area of this bridge that'll kind of go into this detail and cover up these beams, and then just sort of merge in with whatever I end up doing down on this part. Alright guys, so what I've done now is I've gone ahead and placed it off the side of these areas right here, and then I've built up the back with some slopes to just give it the kind of look of the general Imperial bridge that you would want to see. I put some tiles on here that we won't end up seeing just to cover this area with some flat pieces. And then I have the actual bridge right here, which I've built using a lot of trans clear pieces for the window elements. And we have trying to kind of evoke that design of the Imperial windows by just using the studs in here that have the black behind them. It's kind of hard to see in here, but hopefully, when it's in action, it kind of evokes that feeling. And then just, yeah, pretty standard studs on side construction here, using these brackets all around to create the general shaping. And then it's just going to sit up on here. Go ahead and plug that in. And there you go. There is the bridge for now, anyway. I'm always tweaking these designs. There does need to be a set of antenna up here. Probably going to use some lever pieces for that. But overall, that's kind of the look of the Arquitens bridge as I see it. Again, subject to change. I may tweak some of the proportions a little bit, but I think it's looking pretty decent for now. So yeah, there's that for the time being. Alright guys, so as you can see, I'm really starting to flesh out this area now, and I'm basically just going in a piece at a time and just trying to fill the gaps in with plates, and obviously on the interior here I'm using more colorful plates, but really just very simple stacking of different plates and bricks here to get the decks to start to build up. And then you can see down here I have some rows of windows, and again I'm trying to just look at reference material and take inspiration for roughly where those things should be. Down in here you can see I've also fleshed out the sides of this part just with very simple stacking of plates, and again a couple of windows. You can see this red plate sticking through here. I have to find a gray one of those for the turntable. And then I have this second deck here which I'm building up, which will sit right on top of here, which I'm going to push down in a second. I just wanted to give you guys a look at the kind of how that's all looking down in there. Very, very simple. And then this part's going to sit on top, and again try to be really accurate with the shape, and then this kind of meeting up with this part right here. And then we're going to have this, like I said, the spine is going to come down the middle part right here. This deck will continue back, so from here it kind of goes straight down to the back here, curves in, the spine all comes together, and then that's the back end of the ship. So getting really close now. Let me see, let me kind of forge ahead and let me see if I can fill in some of this area. All right, guys, and I just realized after I got done recording this whole video that I kind of did a section and then I stepped away from my building table and I came back and I forgot to talk about a whole kind of portion of the ship that I was working on. So I'm coming back now at the end to give you guys a better look and just a little bit of a explanation for that part. So basically these large bulkheads down here, I've added these in as well as working on these decks off to the side. And it's very simple, just collection of slopes and some plate detail. It actually looks a little different now. I stripped away some of this detail because I wasn't super happy with how this was looking. But yeah, I went ahead and did that and then just mirrored it almost exactly to the other side. This is really interesting. It's kind of hard to make out exactly what is going on here, but this like large sloped structure that comes off of the side of the bridge here. So that's pretty cool, interesting shape, and I tried to replicate that as best I could. And then there's these little kind of cutouts on either side, and then the way that the decks are stepped up here is really interesting, and the whole kind of shape in here has a lot of character to it, so I really tried to capture that as best I could. I think it's looking pretty nice. So yeah, let me spin this around and give you a quick look at it on the other side. And you can see very, very similar in there. Whoops, I just lost the here you go. The airlock fell into the oblivion of my parts bin. I do want to try to figure out another way to attach these because these do get knocked off easily. But yeah, same kind of idea. On this side, I have a little bit too much dark gray in here. I'm not super happy with how that's looking. I think I do actually mention that later on in the video, which is in my past, so time is weird. But yeah, same idea, and then very similar kind of level of detail in here. There's a little one of these like bar pieces just to give a random bit of greebling, just like I have on the other side. And you can see in here as well the kind of filled in side sections, and this all just kind of merges together really nicely. And it's kind of hollow in here. The angle that this sits at doesn't really allow for these large panel pieces that I use to cover up this gap to merge in if I added anything underneath this. So this part is just one plate thick, and then there's kind of a gap in there that allows this. This is just a single panel piece. Let me try to yank that out in here, which covers up a large area of detail, or like internal structure and everything, and this is just exactly the right shape for that. And then, so yeah, you can see down in here, there's just this gap in there. It's kind of hard to get exactly the lighting to help me out on that, but suffice it to say, just designing this, I had to just leave enough of a gap for the tolerance for this part in here to slip in. So that it does, and it all just kind of blends together really nicely, I think. So I really like how kind of this section in here all just blends in really nicely. And actually this is a stud too far back. Whoops. There we go. And yeah, it comes together with the sideways built portion just sitting right on top of this plate built section in here. So spoiler alert again for the future, we'll see some more of this later on in the video getting developed here, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about these sections. All right, so looking at it from the back, I went ahead and attached this second deck right here, I guess second and third deck really. And then first I fleshed out this part because obviously this has to sit on top, and I just kind of brought this line back here, and again a couple of additional windows and things, and some little bits of greely detail and a little bit of unevenness to just break up the surface a little bit. And I'll probably go ahead and add some little little bits, you know, some things that could look like mechanical detail and things along the edge here a little bit, just to, you know, give it that kind of Star Warsy, greebled, kit-bashed look that those ships have. And then probably what I'm going to do next is try and mirror most of what I've done here onto the other side, so I can then start bridging like with large plates across this center gap, like place some supports here for the center spine, fill this in, and then start to really like be able to tie all this in together. So yeah, I think that's going to be what I do right now. All right, you guys, so it's kind of hard to make out what's happening here right now, but basically what I did was I mirrored over what I had done to the other side, and I made a few tweaks to this area of the design. What I realized was I wanted this to be narrower overall here, so I brought this in 2 studs in this direction, this whole section. So I kind of ended up, you know, squishing all of this, and then I've just started to kind of bridge the gaps in between. And on the other side here, you can see I have the same deal, and then I have this this mirrored kind of section here where I have the upper deck right here, which I will squeeze down, show you guys. And then I have the opposite side, same exact thing in here as well. So that is going to sit in there and just complete that look. So I think, you know, as far as the back decks go, that pretty much does it for that. And what we're going to work on now is fixing up kind of what the spine is going to look like. It's going to run down the middle of this, figuring out how I'm going to kind of merge all of this section here together and how I'm going to kind of blend this part back into the back section here. So yeah, that's all coming out really, really well, and pretty much exactly what I'm hoping for. So let's get a move on and get this wrapped up. All right, guys, so here you go. The spine has been completed and installed. It was actually pretty simple. I just ended up creating this, you know, just fill the space of this gap here. I ended up taking out the plate that was going across here. There was like a 6x10 plate or something like that. And it just left a nice trench there that would just accommodate this perfectly, and that just fit just how you'd want. And then just applied a bunch of kind of slopes and details down here to sort of hide that in there and give it a little bit of an interesting shape to it. And then there we go. That kind of blends in pretty nicely, I think, and just completes the overall, you know, top shape here of the Arquitens, pretty much exactly the way that you would hope, I think. I mean, it's looking pretty good to me. There's still a few parts where I think I want to balance out the gray color scheme between the light gray and the dark gray. I think like this area here might be a little too dense with dark gray pieces. It's just kind of a balance, you know, seeing what works and what feels like too much. But yeah, but I think just the actual way that this all turned out, especially the way that this kind of comes down into this little section right here and it just sits in there kind of perfectly, and you know, that all just works really nicely, I think. So really happy with that. I went ahead and added a little bit of extra detail in, sort of started thinking about fleshing out this area. And then of course for next week I have to bulk up the bottom of this section here because this is kind of a similar width all the way down. And then we're going to start on the underside, and luckily for the Arquitens, this main portion is pretty much flat under here. Like, it doesn't have the same angle design. There are angled parts, but they're smaller and they're more towards the center. So that's going to be fun to figure out, and I think hopefully, you know, this is not as complex as something like a Star Destroyer would be, where it's fully like angled panels on both sides and really, really complex and shapes with interesting angles. So yeah, this should be cool. I think I'm going to have a little bit of an easier time heading towards the finish line now. This video that you're watching was recorded over a period of several building sessions over many, many days, and just kind of trying to you know, figure this out as best I can without wasting too much time, so I can get these out to you guys as quick as possible, but also not rushing in and making huge mistakes that I'll then have to go back and fix. So it's kind of a balancing act, but hopefully you guys are happy with the speed at which these are coming out. I am trying to get them out to you on a semi-regular basis, and I'm really happy with where I'm at currently with the full top deck kind of finished up and looking pretty good. I started also, just quick little aside here, started to figure out some little ways in here that I can kind of capture the kind of way that this is going to ultimately connect in here and terminate, and kind of come together a little bit more tightly. I started to just give that some thought as well this week, so that's something I'll be continuing next week. And then also I have to still tie down exactly how this little TIE fighter holder and bay in here is going to operate, what the scale of the ties is going to be that I end up putting in here, and a lot of other little kind of interesting little details to nail down. But yeah, I think just looking at the overall scale of this thing, I think it's looking really nice. And this is going to be the new second largest ship in my micro fleet, and I think it's going to definitely be a worthy addition, and I hope you guys getting a kick out of seeing it get made. So I'm going to stop rambling for today. I'm going to wrap up the video right here. I really appreciate you guys coming with me on this journey and sticking with me. If you did like this installment, if you like the progress that you're seeing here and you're getting a kick out of the journey, go ahead and leave a like. If you didn't like it, do the opposite. Either way, it doesn't help or hurt my feelings really. It's just good for me to know what you guys are enjoying and what you're not. So yeah, I will see you guys on the next video. We're hopefully going to be making a lot more progress on the underside here. I'm going to be creating the stand and kind of really starting to nail down the final parts of this design. But yeah, dang, that's an Arquitens right there. That's an Arquitens. So yeah, I'm really happy. All right, guys, so I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again, and may the force be with you.